Okay, so we are made it to Mount Rushmore, and it is $10 for the parking here. So I'm gonna be paying $20 for this whole trip. Okay, made it to Mount Rushmore. Now, from a distance, this looks small. We're going to see when we get up there.
That was fun.
Pay when I come back. Out. Okay. Oh, we got audio tours available all year. So let's see, the audio tours available all year. We got the Lincoln. We're going to the visitor center. It's at 8 a.m. till 9. Got the information center. That's what we were in. Sculpture studios. That's from like 8 to 4. The evening light ceremony held nightly in the amphitheater. This 45-minute program consists of Ranger program, the film Freedom, America, Lasting Legacy, the illumination of the sculpture, and playing of the national anthem. The program concludes with the flag ceremony honoring the military personnel past and present. So that ceremony begins at 8 p.m. and then the illuminations starts at 8:30 p.m. So that is something that you can do. That they do have some trails here, some roads and trails. They have the Presidential Trail. She's saying that one's their main one here. They got the Iron Mountain Road and they got the Needle Highway. But I think she said this one's their main one here. But let's keep going. Rushmore National Memorial is a colossal 60-foot tall sculpture that showcases the four former United States presidents, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln, on the mountain in South Dakota Black Hills. The carving started in 1927 and ended in 1941 by using dynamite to blast large sections of rock. Sculptor Goodson Borglum was the man called to lead the project alongside with chief carver Luigi Del Bianco. After Borglum's death in March 1941, his son Lincoln took over the project. Unfortunately, the funding was low, so Lincoln had to make a decision on what to do with trying to finish the project. So he decided on October 31st, 1941, the Mount Rushmore National Memorial was finished. As of today, nearly 3 million visitors visit Mount Rushmore National Memorial every year. President's Trail. From the Mount Rushmore is 0.2 miles. Sculpture Studio is 0.4. The entire loop is 0.6. So it's just not that bad. Nah, it's not that bad, right? All I gotta do is go do some steps. So we're here. We're gonna try to do the whole thing, right? No. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, guys. It's just steps, and I've been doing steps all day. My legs are like, gonna give us a break a little bit. But you want to get closer, I guess, to the mountain and look up. Yeah, this is 18. And this is the spot right here to get your picture. This is 18. So 17, 18 is your best spot to get your picture here. And you can either turn back around or keep going that way, and that will get you all the way back around. If you want to do that. Okay. We're at the end of, well, present. Just don't go this way up the steps. So when you come here, do not go to the right. Go to the left. Save yourself the misery of steps.
Process here at Mount Rushmore, and also Gunson Boulder. Now, before we get started, I got a question for you guys: is what do you notice on this model that you don't notice up on the mountain? Coats, hands.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, we got coats, we got hands, we got buttons, we got ears, we got collars, we got the full bodies. There's a ton of stuff on this model that was never actually built onto Mount Rushmore. So guys, Mount Rushmore is technically an unfinished project. It was never actually completed. To kind of understand why that is, you gotta know who Gunson Borland is. He is the main sculptor here, the genius behind the whole operation. Now, a little background information about Borland. He was born in Idaho. His parents had immigrated over here from Denmark. And at an early age, he has a really strong passion for art. So much so that his parents decide to send him to Europe for 5 years where he studies art, and that is where he falls in love with sculpting. That's where he finds his true passion. Now, once he comes back to the United States after those 5 years, he's disappointed how all the art that he studied in Europe was all the art that was celebrated here in the United States. So he makes it his life's goal to carve big, bold art that talks specifically about American history. He wanted people like me and you guys to learn about our country's history through the art of sculpting. And so that's exactly what he does. His entire career is spent carving historical figures. His favorite person to carve is going to be Abraham Lincoln. He's got a bunch of statues of him up and down the East Coast. But when Borglum turns to be around the age of 50, he's really chasing that cementing legacy piece, that piece that's going to define him as a great American sculptor. So what he thinks that's going to be is Stone Mountain in Atlanta, Georgia. Has anybody ever been there before?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, we got a couple people. Okay. Well, for anybody who doesn't know, Stone Mountain is a Confederate memorial that Borglum was originally hired to construct before Mount Rushmore. Now, the thing about Stone Mountain, to give you guys some perspective, the heads on Mount Rushmore are about 60 feet long. He wanted to carve 4 Confederate generals that were each over 110 feet long. He also wanted this entire rock face to be covered with troops and horses, so this was going to be on a much bigger scale than Mount Rushmore in a much larger project. Now the thing about Borglum is that he was a genius when it came to sculpting, but he was not a genius when it came to managing money. He was a terrible businessman, and the first mistake that the daughters of the Confederacy made when they hired Borglum is they give him complete financial control of the entire project. And it is very expensive if you want to carve 410-foot figures, so Borglum is constantly going over budget. He's pretty much driving the daughters of the Confederacy into bankruptcy. This is causing a ton of tension between the two parties, and while all of this is unfolding, Bill Robinson, he's up there on the left of the mantle place. He is what we call the father of Mount Rushmore. He has the original idea to have a sculpture here in the Black Hills. So he's reaching out to Borglum constantly, asking him to come to South Dakota to carve a sculpture. Now, the only reason that Borglum hears out Noah's proposition is because he thinks he might get fired from Stone Mountain. And that is exactly what happens. He gets fired from Stone Mountain, and he has a similar model of Stone Mountain to what you guys see behind me. So he's got all of the calculations already done for those 4 figures. So he's done all the hard work. So he knows that after he's fired, they're going to hire somebody else, and they're pretty much just going to steal all of the work that he's done for about 9 years. So Borglum, he doesn't like how that's going to play out, so he sneaks into his studio in the middle of the night after he's fired with a hammer, and he destroys the entire model. He doesn't want anyone copying his original ideas. Now, while that might sound like a good idea, Borglum did not own the materials that he used to build that model, so there was a warrant put out for his arrest, and he's pretty much chased out of the state of Georgia. He is on the run. Luckily, he was good friends with the governor of North Carolina at the time. The governor kind of hides him for about 2 to 3 months while all of this is blowing over, and Borglum's writing to Doan saying, hey, I think I can come out to the Black Hills and carve that sculpture that you've been talking about. So that's pretty much what brings Borglum here to Mount Rushmore and why he carves the presidents here. So in 1927, the first dynamite explosion happens, and 14 years later, it is declared a finished project. Now the thing about Borglum, guys, is that he's not actually going up in the harnesses with the jackhammer and physically carving the mountain. He's working in this studio, but most importantly, he's working on this model. So for every inch you see on this model, it equals a foot up on the mountain. That is how he scaled it. This is a picture of him working on one of his models. So this took him 9 years just to perfect the dimensions of the faces, and it's also his 9th attempt at getting it right. So what I mean by 9th attempt is that 8 other times he has a blueprint, but there's a crack or a flaw up on the mountain. He's got to completely readjust his entire idea here at Mount Rushmore. So these faces were constantly moving on how they're looking or where they're organized up on the mountain. So he's building around those cracks and flaws as he's discovering them. So what I want to talk to you guys about today is kind of the different problems that Borglum runs into as he's carving each one of these presidents. So the first guy we're going to talk about is George Washington. He was started in 1927, finished in 1930. It was pretty smooth sailing while they were carving Washington until about 2 weeks before he was declared finished. And a couple months prior to that, Borglum decides to have this massive party here on the grounds of Mount Rushmore. He invites everyone in the state of South Dakota to come see the work he's been doing over the last 3 years. They got people from Washington, D.C. coming to see why should we fund Mount Rushmore, why should we give them money, so it's a very big deal. About 2 weeks before the ceremony, one of the workers is doing the final touches on Washington's left eye, and he gets a drill bit this size stuck in Washington's left eye. It is still there until this day. So if you have any binoculars or a good camera, you can actually see a 3-foot drill bit stuck in Washington's eye. They could never get it out. There's a rust stain that's starting to develop that you'll see up there as well. But as you guys can imagine, Gordon was not too happy that the whole state of South Dakota has come to see what he's done, and one of the workers has a drill bit stuck in Washington's eye. And that's the only time that happened the entire 14 years here at Mount Rushmore. But in the grand scheme of things, just the tip of the iceberg for the problems they're going to face here. And that's because the next person they carved is Thomas Jefferson. He started in 1930 and finished in 1936. He was an absolute nightmare to carve here. And this is a picture of where they're carving Jefferson. And as you guys can see, it's not where he is today up on the mountain. So the original idea was to carve Thomas Jefferson on the right side of Washington. They get about 2 years into carving his face, about halfway done. They discover this massive crack that's going right over the bridge of his nose. And so they realize that at any given moment, half of Jefferson's face is going to slide right off the side of Mount Rushmore, which is obviously not good if you're trying to have a sculpture be preserved for hundreds of thousands of years. And the other thing is that Borglum's biggest mistake that he makes here is that he thought there was more granite on that side to fit Jefferson's face on, and it turns out there wasn't enough. So besides the crack, they wouldn't have been able to finish him anyways. And so 2 years of resources, money, and hard work down the drain, and they got to completely reorganize their blueprint here. So they blow Jefferson off the mountain, they move him to where he is today. That is where Abraham Lincoln was supposed to be. So they push Lincoln all the way to the outside, and that's why Teddy kind of gets the short end of the stick and gets stuck there in the middle. Nothing against Teddy. It's literally all the canvas they had left to actually fit him up there on the mountain. Now, the other thing with Jefferson is they're carving him during the Great Depression. So trying to get funding during that time is a nearly impossible task. There's a lot of standstill here where no one's working, no one's actually here at Mount Rushmore. And then lastly, if you look up at Jefferson today, you'll notice that he looks like he's gazing out onto the horizon, like he's looking above all of the other presidents. And there's nothing symbolic about that. The reason is there's a crack that starts in his chin, and it goes right past his right eye. So Borglum, right before they finished Jefferson, had to reset his head 5 feet deeper into the mountain and to elevate his eyes 5 degrees higher than all the other ones, so that crack wasn't going right through the middle of his pupil. So that's just kind of an example of how they're adjusting around the cracks and the flaws that they're discovering as they're building Mount Rushmore. Now the next president they carve is going to be Abraham Lincoln. He only takes 1 year to carve, from 36 to 37. The reason for that is because he was never actually finished. So if you look at Lincoln behind me, he's got a perfect face, a nice ear. That's not the case up on the mountain. The ear was the hardest thing to carve here at Mount Rushmore. No presidents have any ears. George Washington, Jefferson got the big hair. They stick Teddy in the back, but it's pretty obvious they couldn't figure it out with Lincoln. To get the Harney Peak granite to form into that delicate structure was just a really hard thing to do. It constantly crumbled. And so when they went to go carve Lincoln's ear, they discovered 2 cracks that were going across the side of his head, and they're worried that if they hit one of those cracks in the wrong spot, it could compromise the whole structural integrity of Lincoln's face. So they said, hey, we're going to leave it alone and hopefully come back to it. But when this place runs out of money in 1941, that is exactly what Lincoln looks like, and he looks the same today in 2023. Now, lastly, we have to talk about Theodore Roosevelt. And this is a picture of what Mount Rushmore looked like before there was any carving or any dynamite explosions here on the mountain. And what I want you to notice is there's not that big indent in the mountain of where Teddy is today. So these guys are removing rock to get to the Harney Peak granite. So when they went to go carve Washington, they went 10 feet into the mountain. When they went to go carve Jefferson and Lincoln, they went about 40 feet into the mountain. So they're anticipating when they're going to go carve Roosevelt, it's going to be around 40 feet. Well, they hit 40 feet, there's no Harney Peak granite. They had to go 85 feet into the mountain to actually reach that good carving rock. So that's why he's so far back there and why he just looks like they kind of squeezed him in there, because that rock next to him and Lincoln was too weak. They couldn't actually carve there. So that's why you have that weird separation and why Roosevelt is so far tucked back in the mountain. Now those are going to be the main problems that these guys are facing here. But like I said, Borglum's not actually going up and carving the mountain himself. That's going to be about 400 South Dakota workers, guys that were miners, carpenters, people that had no professional sculpting experience whatsoever.
The night program at Mount Rushmore, I got lucky to see the harmonies happening in the hills by the Shrine of Democracy Choir. Unfortunately, this event is not every year at Mount Rushmore, but if you go on their website, they will show you where this event is taking place every year. And I will have that link in the description box below for you guys. In my opinion, the whole choir was fantastic, and I will show you some of the footage I've taken when this event happened in Mount Rushmore.
Way higher, and it burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, to conclude our ceremony, most of these men and women have never met one another, and yet tonight they are bonded together on stage. For most, this is the only public recognition they will ever receive for their willingness to serve our country. As they rejoin their families, let us show them our appreciation for their sacrifice for our freedoms with another heartfelt round of applause. Thank you for your service.
Thank you guys for watching. Please keep subscribing to Coast Guide Adventures and also follow me on Facebook and also follow me on Instagram. Subscribe and I will see you guys later.